Oh hi, and welcome back to another episode of what I should by now be calling Gemma's Whim World. Except that is quite hard to say, far too many W's. Because yes, this is a video of me making something that I just fancied having a go at. Simple as. Today's whim was inspired by some bowls for nibbles that I saw on Pinterest. They were essentially faces and the bowl part was the mouth. So when the bowls were full, it looked like a face with a mouthful of nibbles. I'm hoping that explanation makes some kind of sense. Anywho, I don't have a way of making my air dry clay makes food safe, so I figured I'd have a go at making little Trinket bowl versions, but with creature faces. And that, my friends, is all the idea I needed to jump on in with. Whim locked in! Alrighty, this first attempt is going to be a froggy face. I know, right now the head shape looks weird, but I'm going to add the eyes on in a bit, so stick with me. Firstly, I'm going to scrape out the mouth. Can you imagine if a dentist told you that? Just relax while I scrape out your mouth. Oh. So I've made a nice jelly bean shaped singing hole, and I have this handy wire loop tool to help do the deed. Open wide, buddy! Having created a flat shape at the start, for no other reason than I didn't really think it through, I need to add some height to the face, especially the nosy area above the mouth. Cue sticking on lumps of clay and hoping for the best. After a bunch of smoothing, this is what it looked like, and do not ask me what is going on with that dent in the nose. I wasn't too sure how I created it, and yes, it bugged me. Instead of immediately sorting it out though, I'm moving on to add the eyes, because I feel like it'll help me get a sense of the whole head shape better. The technique is simple. Get 2 bowls of clay and smoosh them onto each side. Once positioned, peel them off, score them on the backs, wet them, and then smoosh them down again. Bada bing, bada eyeballs. Now, here's a misstep that we have to live with for a little while until I sort it out later. On my original sketch, when I imagined this froggo, I put the pupils going outwards and it looked cute, I swear. But when I popped them onto this 3D version, it looked I do not like them, Sam I am. Let's ignore them for a moment and focus on adding some random extra bits. I felt like these lines helped define the face a bit better, and it was a good distraction from the off-centre but following me all the same stare. Okay, so here's where we reassess the eyeballs. Smoosh them back to blank and let's position them more inwards. Yup, so much better. With that, we'll leave this one to dry and try the second idea. My second dish is going to be a foxy type of face and slightly different in that I'm not going to cut out the mouth, but make the whole face the dishy bit. You'll see what I mean. So first I cut out my simple face shape with 2 pointy ears. I smooth out all the edges and then begin creating a nosy to attach. As it's a bit of a big chunk, I spent some time scoring it and ensuring the edges were well smoothed down. Then, once it felt like it was becoming a part of the face, I held it up and began feeling my way into curving the edges of the face upwards. I needed to create a support for these edges because they were too thin to hold themselves up as they dried. So I grabbed some tin foil and made a rough circle shape. I would not say that this is the best method, as the foil loop is textured and will probably leave some marks, but in the moment it felt good enough. I positioned my foxy face into the foil loop and then left it to dry alongside the froggo. They chilled out in the shed for a good few days and I turned them over intermittently to ensure their backs dried out too. And eventually they looked like this. I did do a quick bit of sanding on their backs and edges mostly, but I didn't worry too much. To be honest, the back of the fox had dried with a bit of a dip in it anyway, so neither of these was headed down the perfection route, and I'm fine with that. On to the painting then. Yay! I decided my colour theme was going to be blues, using a pale sky blue and a deeper navy. I was originally planning that I might give these as gifts come Christmas time, so I was channeling some wintry vibes. I took a lot of care painting the mouth of the frog as I wanted the edges to be neat, and ditto for the pupils. I held my breath a lot as I did those. Once the navy blue had dried a little, I started adding in tiny white stars, so the froggy had the night sky in its mouth. I was doing this with a brush which was a bit messy to be fair, and I only remembered later that I had a thin Posca pen which was easier for little details. I also added in some froggy freckles because why wouldn't you? As the frog dries a bit, let's move over to the fox. I figured I'd reverse the colour scheme for this one, using the lighter colour in the mouth and ears and a darker colour over the face. I used a flat brush to make sure I could get nice clean lines around those lighter features, and I really liked how that darker colour looked. I also think it minimised a lot of the bumpiness in the fox, so that was a bonus. On the reverse, I decided to create a simple pattern of little wintry trees and dotted pathways. No reason except the whim train struck again. I think it looks pretty sweet. I added in some leafy patterns into the ears and mouth, plenty of freckles on the nose, and tiny dots around the edges of the light blue patches. I wasn't sure about that at first, but I think it gives it something a little bit extra, a bit more folky perhaps. Lastly, I added in some eyes, and I cannot say for sure that I positioned them right, but they're okay I think. To seal all this paint in, once they had dried, I covered them in DecoArt triple thick gloss. And then they were done. These are the finished Trinket dishes, and yeah, they're a bit kooky, but I like them. What do you reckon? Would you make something like this? I'd like to try again in future and see if I could make some that are a little bit more polished, but I cannot deny that these two make me smile. And that's what it's all about, hey? Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do tap on the like button as it really helps me out. And if it's your first time here, I do hope you'll stop by again. Click subscribe if art, craft and whims are your thing. Until we meet again, stay curious, keep making happy, and I'll see you next time.